we started off with our last game that just heading off beyond Tharkas Cascade. We're now in Family Zhin with a carrier fleet which lost 3 fighters during a K encounter. I still haven't yet to replace the lost fighters because of logistical issues and the fact that Tharkas Cascade is still under Xenon control with frequent but not consistent, or not always on, Xenon blockade. Or I should say gate camp instead. So down here in Family Zhin, our carrier strike fleet is camping the gate into Tharkas, or between Tharkas Cascade and Family Zhin. And we can see that there always seem to be random, not exactly random of course, just scattered amount of Xenon vessels coming through. They are mostly just small and medium ships, and they keep pouring from deeper into the sector, which I have yet to explore. And my fighters for this carrier is set to intercept. So you can see that from time to time they just get staggered launches and engages the ones that gets into his interception range, which is roughly about 40 kilometers within the radar range of the carrier. And so sometimes it's the same group engaging multiple targets, other times when they actually had a return to base command, a different group of fighters will be launched instead. They just keep doing this staggering thing. So the good thing about the Zeus is that it has 8 small docks, as compared to some of the ships like the Teladi Condor, which only has 6 small docks. The process of launching and redocking would turn out to be much different, and the amount of staggered launched ships, I have not exactly have any experiment with that, but I think I will stick with the Zeus for now, for it has one of the thickest hull, which means effectively they can be more suitable if things get ugly and they have to get in close range of in the fights. They will probably ended up surviving. So in this very first half of the session, in the next several minutes, there's going to be a whole lot of lasers and fireball shows. I hope this gets people excited about potential commanding fleets in X4, which were really not still the best. Everything is really done by AI, and they can do odd behaviors, not just occasionally but quite frequently. But once you get the hang of it, it sort of comes natural, and you just let it run and to the ways that you like. It still can be configured to the way that you would like, as long as you start getting the hang of it after hundreds and hundreds of hours of play. And so here we go, we got a whole full squad of swarms just going in for a kill, and it's going to continue with all these kind of footage for the next 4 or 5 minutes, and I'll leave you to it without much commentary until, let's say, around 10 minutes mark, and just enjoy the fireball shows and the music. Alright, so now we back into Haktiva's Choice 1, and where the Xenon capital just pop out from the gate. We have this second carrier station here on with its subordinates on defense commander. So if the commander, which means the huge carrier, is actually hit by the calculation, the fighters will launch and start attacking the aggressor. Well, in this case, just the K, which is well within range to hit all the battleships off sector with off sector calculations, and all the damage been actually evened out. As you can see, a lot of my fighters will start getting hit, but none of them will get one-shotted. That's the beauty of the out of sector, what people call low attention fleet fights, and that's the way they calculate. They simply just take out the K with a sheer number, and you can do that with any. You don't even need a carrier. With 40 fighters, they're basically not taking much fire. It's almost as if the large turrets cannot track with that many. So I think they probably divide it by the chance to hit, by the number of adversaries it's engaged in, and yeah, so it's quite an easy way. Say you want to go off sector fight. I'm not sure about fighting the station in this case. Obviously the K only had 6 turrets, 6 graviton turrets that is, and whereas the station can have probably 50 or 100. I have no idea, I haven't checked before. Alright, so again, back to our laser and fireball shows for the last bit before we tune into other sectors, as things are getting quite repetitive here in the Family Zhin sector. And we are, without the presence of capital ships, we are basically dominating this this gate, and can handle the gate camp and blockade pretty efficiently. And you can see that the Argon actually sent its freighters through, not just the Argon, but there are also Calaris and Pyramids. They all send their ships through when Tharkat's Cascade has a little bit less security, which in terms of just saying that a lot of time the AI comes in waves. They prepare a bunch. They don't necessarily have backups. They have a limited amount, a finite amount of total ships they can have. So once they got a group going, they just peel through. The gate, especially when they're ready to set up new defense plot. And so yeah, so once the group goes through, there will be no defense in terms of ships for a long time, until the next bit of fleet gets built up and was ordered to gather at a rally point that was determined by the AI. So this is how it looks like on the map, although it's still in sector. It's because I'm pretty comfortable sitting in my carrier's command bridge, just to stay in touch with the things going on in sector. Obviously off sector, it just means it's going to be triangles wandering around, and will be a lot more boring and less interesting, naturally. So as we been here for the first half of the session in Family Zhin, I'm starting to needing to come up with a plan to move my carrier out of the way, just in case Xenon capital ships comes through and it has no way to outmaneuver itself out of the gravitons range. Probably wouldn't be a great idea to have it stay right in front of the gate and have its engines facing the potential forward fire and the firepower of the gravitons. So that's something I need to seriously consider before I can send in more reinforcements to keep this gate camp intact. It's not essential gate camp after all though, it's really just a place to chill out and watch the fireworks mostly, but it still wouldn't be so pleasing to lose a good amount of a huge carrier
entering system
for
Trinity Sanctum
parked in a rather stupidly
entering
positioned
Hewa's
location. So we're going back to Hewa's twin, and look at that, it's not rendering it's not rendering the textures right just yet. So we're going there, and the initial fleet, the I and the K's have all been destroyed. This is actually a reinforcement and a subsequent follow-up. And you can see that in Hewa's twins, it's not the Telades that's defending it now, even though it's still controlled by the Telades in terms of ownership. But we have the Pyramids sending in multiple Odysseus Vanguards to the sector's defense against the Xenons. This first one didn't exactly park in a good position. It parked just right past the graviton turrets, and it got its engines taken out pretty much in 5 subsequent shots of the gravitons. And then for the rest of the time it was just sitting there and getting bombarded. A few of its escorts are still struggling and just really just making no real meaningful damage to the K's, to the K here, which is traveling up the superhighway towards Trinity Sanctum sector. Now the large ships, not just the capital size ships, but the large ships like destroyers, none of them can use superhighways, they can use junk gates, so they have to rely on travel drive. In this case though, this K right now being engaged in the fight means the travel drive will be disrupted, and it basically is only just traveling at normal cruising speed until it can get rid of the can stay free from being hit for until the travel drive charges up, which can be 5 seconds or 10 seconds or 20 seconds, depends on which engine it's using. But for extra large engines, I think there's only just the all-round engine, so the charge up time is pretty much consistent, except they're just different per the races, I believe. And so here is a Telade destroyer, but there are a lot more Pyramids than the Telades right now. There's the Telades starting to lose its grip on Hewa's twin sector here, Hewa's twin 1. and they are also tied up by the Xenon in Matrix 451 with occasional interruptions as well, and aggressions from the Fallen Families, which is a split faction, mostly pirate-ish, and so in the far side we can see another Odysseus and a Phoenix, and this is where the K is heading to. And here we're just skipping the traveling scene and just take it right into the battle. The K decided to land in between the Phoenix and the Odysseus and taking on both of them at the same time. I have to say that right now it's my camera's been fixated on the K, and not until a little bit later I just realized that it's the usual gnome bug that I've reported in their forums. With some of the other players who noticed a similar thing as well, is that my theory is that if the camera subject doesn't change, sometimes the simulation wouldn't initiate for some of the ships in sector, which means sometimes they just won't fire their turrets, sometimes they won't even move at all. And so in this case they are not firing their turret even though they are circling around, but they are really just getting themselves slaughtered at the moment. I didn't realize this effect was actually active until after this encounter, and so I'm kind of happy to use this as a little bit of an exploit, because I do want the Xenon to actually get more territories as much as they can, because that way I don't have, well, basically just waging a proxy war so I can claim some territories to myself when the time comes, and so I can ignore all these very pesky police who scans for illegal goods in my inventory. So I'm happy that they just sit there and get exploded by a single K for a while, but later I will, after I realized what was happening, and I thought, well, that's enough for 1K against about 5. After it destroyed about 5 or so destroyers, I said, okay, well, it's about time we need to have a fair trade. So I changed the camera, and eventually towards the end of the video you'll see the K gets taken out by the Paranid destroyers. So going on here, the Teladi destroyer managed to get out of harm's way so far, and in the distance we can see that the K is only dealing with a small Falcon, which is Teladi ship, and in the distance background we can see there are two more Paranid Odysseus approaching, and that is where I left the K to start getting itself bombarded by 3 destroyers, and eventually met its timely end. After wreaking quite a bit of havoc along the superhighway against the Teladi and Pyramid Alliance or Joint Fleet. So here we go, it goes into range, which I haven't changed the camera yet, so we can see that nobody's really shooting. Alright, so now we've got the K and the destroyers within range with each other. So we got the Graviton start firing on the first destroyer, which I have not switched the camera away yet. So again, and this is where I just realized this destroyer is behaving a bit weird, and thus I thought, oh, something must be going wrong, and it must be that that kind of processing bug or initialization bug for the behaviors that caused this. So after checking the map and just looking at the overall status here in Hewa's Twin Swan, noticed that there are still two visible from my radar, two Pyramid destroyers in the vicinity of this K. And so just wait until they get into range in a little bit, as they are maneuvering into each other now, and that would be enough. That will be when I actually get to change the camera view to the Pyramid destroyers. Just try to let them have a chance against the K. And so as it goes, the K is starting to get surrounded and engaging various size ships, military combat ships that was also around the Teladi trade station, and this is where we change our camera. As you can see, after changing the camera, we just realized, okay, there we go. There are still two destroyers within range, and they are firing their main batteries and also their turrets. So with their batteries hitting, and also that Teladi one, which has been was the one that has escaped destruction from about halfway of this video, is also joining and firing at this K right now. So with three destroyers hitting it, we can see the K is losing its shield and also now its hull quicker than it can do. It can repair and regenerate. It lost all its defense turrets and everything as well. And there we go, Tharkas Cascade. We've our satellite detected another K. Alright, and this K is history. So this pretty much wraps up the video. Towards the end of the video, I just went back on a bit of housekeeping and continue my sector economy build plan to finish the set of building I need to build, which is the food rations and medical supplies factory in second contact Flashpoint. It's other than that, it was probably in the future next session I'll just finish it with the optional farm for the Marja snails and things like that, the Paranid and the lizards eats. That's it for me from this session. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like my video or more gameplay videos of various games of strategy or tactical simulation, role plays, just remember to follow my channel or subscribe, and please leave a comment or likes. They're all welcome. It's something I can improve my videos or play more diverse type of games or doing sort of different experiments. And until then, we'll see you next time.
You